Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are talking about Lilo and Stitch in celebration of the, what is it called? Live action, I guess. I don't know if you can really call it that, but in honor of the live action version of Lilo and Stitch coming out very soon after this podcast drops.
It'll be the week this podcast drops.
Okay, great. I knew you would know. And stick around until the end. We'll be talking about our favorite Elvis songs.
Lilo and Stitch, released in June 2002, written and directed by Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders. This features the voices of Davy Chase, Tia Carrere, our Karen Allen of Season 2, Ving Rhames, David Ogden Stiers of MASH fame, and Kevin Michael Richardson of Seth MacFarlane Animated Universe fame. This movie had an $80 million budget with a $273 million box office. This movie was well received by critics with an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was nominated for the Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards the year it came out. However, it did lose to Spirited Away. This movie inspired 3 straight-to-video sequels and a multitude of Disney TV shows.
Is this our third movie with Ving Rhames or only our second one?
We're trying to do a Ving Rhames podcast here.
What did you say, Geoff?
This is our third, yep.
Our third one. Wow.
Yep.
This season.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a lot in a short period of time. If you're listening, Bing, we're obsessed with you. Okay. All right, Geoff, why don't you tell us your history with Lilo and Stitch?
Lilo and Stitch was definitely a movie I saw in theaters when it came out, and I've revisited it multiple times since its release. I feel like Stitch, the character, has been a noticeable presence in my life as a sort of Disney millennial, if you will. And I revisited this before this episode, probably about 3 years ago or so. And yeah, so I was excited to dive into it. I've had my hesitations about the live action remake because of kind of my history with this movie.
And what about you, Ben?
So I'm a little bit older than y'all. And so this came out at the end of my freshman year of high school. And I was in the Disney movies are lame era of my life. The last Disney movie I remember seeing in theaters as a kid and being it's a kid for a Disney movie was Tarzan in 99. And then I didn't see that stretch that followed, things like Dinosaur and Atlantis and Lilo and Stitch. I did see some of the Pixar stuff when they started coming out. I remember seeing Finding Nemo. But I never saw it because I was too cool to watch Disney movies in 2002. And then once you kind of get back into liking Disney, once you get past the I'm too cool for it stage, which a lot of people kind of go through and then I think come full circle, but I wasn't going to watch something I didn't know or wasn't familiar with. So it was just one of those ones that was kind of caught in the middle between the ones I watched as a childhood and the ones I appreciate as an adult. So just never kind of passed me by. Despite my lack of knowledge about movies in general and seeing them prior to this podcast, I have a pretty good history of seeing a lot of the Disney movies, but this was one that just never happened for me.
And for myself, very similar to Geoff. I think I watched this. I don't know if I watched it in theaters or not, but certainly watched it around the time that it came out. And then I wouldn't say I've seen it a lot of times. I think maybe when Geoff and I rewatched it a few years ago was maybe the first time I'd seen it since I was younger and when it came out, and then rewatching it this time. So it's not one that I've seen a ton, but I'm starting to revisit it a little more often. So, Ben, why don't you kick us off and give us your score?
I actually really enjoyed this movie. I wasn't sure what I'd think of it, but I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a 4.25.
Yes, the sci-fi curse is broken.
Yeah, it's not that sci-fi.
It's grounded sci-fi.
Geoff has been calling
I
it
don't,
sci-fi all
I don't
week.
think we could call this a sci-fi score. I did well because the first note I have is I'm done with the space stuff. Let's get to Hawaii.
I'm calling it grounded sci-fi, therefore sci-fi.
All right, Geoff, what's your score?
I loved this movie growing up. I love this movie even more so. I'll admit when we started going to Disney World more as adults and I hadn't seen Lilo Stitch in a while, I was like, man, this place is obsessed with Stitch. He is everywhere. He's on merch. He's on the displays, everything like that. But then after revisiting it, probably like 3, 4 years ago or so, I'm like, I get it. Yeah, Stitch rules. But I love this movie. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
All right. And okay, so I feel like when I watched this when I was younger, I didn't really like it. I don't know why, but I think that's why I just never really rewatched it again, was just because I didn't really like it. I don't remember feeling strongly about it. Um, and then like Geoff said, like Disney does so much stuff with Stitch, and I will say I don't love the Stitch persona, I guess, that I feel like the parks have given him. But the last few times I've watched this movie, I just love it so much. And I'm giving it a 4.75.
Pretty high score
Yeah.
for overall.
This has overtaken Pulp Fiction as our number one movie of season 2 so far.
And the movie critics of the world are bashing their head against a wall.
Take that, Pulp Fiction.
The greatest films of all time.
Stitch only knows
Number
how to
7,
destroy.
Pulp Fiction. Number 6, Lilo and Stitch. No, it's just enjoyable though. Like I think that's a big reason why we all rated it the way we did. But I also feel like what you experienced, Amanda, I feel like that to some degree, like I feel like when I was a teenager and this came out, obviously I was not the target demographic. I was a little bit older, but I also feel like coming off of that run in the 90s, I feel like this was kind of clumped in with the movies that like are kind of looked down on in the Disney canon. And I feel like over time this one has like kind of developed a life of its own, maybe through the TV shows and the Disney park stuff. But I feel like it was not received. I know it did well and it got nominated for an Oscar, like you said, Geoff, but I feel like it was not received the way that like, a lot of those 90s Lion King and Aladdin and that kind of stuff was. It felt like it was like kind of an afterthought or kind of looked down on. But I feel like over time it's really kind of developed a following with kids in a big way. I think due in large part to Stitch himself.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think it was definitely more of like a B tier movie. I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know a lot about the history of this, but I know there's certain movies, and I'm forgetting in the moment, that Disney has been like, oh, we're going to put like our B team of animators on this movie because like we need our A team to work on this one because this is going to be like, the hit, but then like the one that the B team animators are working on ends up being like incredible and overtaking the other one. But anyways, yeah, I think I agree with that. I think that this was just kind of like an afterthought, and I do think it's because of Stitch. I don't really know like if people wanted Stitch or if Disney just forced Stitch on people.
Either way, it worked.
Either way, it worked, exactly.
Right?
But as somebody who had never seen it, and honestly, like I knew a little bit about it from some of the Disney parks stuff from being there, but like as someone who hadn't seen the movie in full until just now, like Stitch, I was into Stitch right away. I was like, this is a funny character.
I like him. I love him in the movie. I do, but I think he is so much more like what's the word? Like three-dimensional or
Hmm.
multi-dimensional, I don't know, whatever. Like in the movie, but I feel like the way Disney uses him, it's like only the destructive Stitch, who's constantly like cackling and like ripping wallpaper off of walls and like running around. And so that part of Stitch's personality when Disney uses it, and that's like the only thing they're using, I'm like, it kind of rubs on me after a while. But watching him in the movie and getting to see his full journey and like everything, I'm like, okay, no, I really enjoy him in the movie.
Yeah, it's this is what stuck out to me big time this time around was when Jumba makes a comment about he has no memories, he has no anything. He doesn't have anything to look back on when he sleeps. How is he just awake all the time? Even in the beginning of the movie, when the Grand Councilwoman's like, show us anything, show us any sign that you're good. And the lines that stuck out to me more this time are not him, you know, swearing, doing alien insults at the council. It's not even him saying Ohana means family. It was him in the forest with the Ugly Duckling book going, lost. I'm lost. And when you hear him say that, I was like, oh my gosh, it really is such a deep character. And you feel for Stitch because, as Jumba says at the beginning, Stitch is smart. Stitch is not just indestructible, but it's powerful in more ways than just physicality. And the movie develops it so well and makes Stitch such a lovable character despite all of the destructiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The
I also feel like, despite the fact that Stitch has obviously been the star of this franchise and the thing everybody talks about, like Lilo's a good character too.
Lilo's a great character.
Like and I think she kind of grounds this movie, in a way that it becomes less goofy and cartoony because of her relationship with Stitch and just her personality in general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tell right from the get-go. She's someone, yes, she's an oddball, but she's also caring. She cares about animals. She, is one with this island. She genuinely does love her sister, and she wants to take care of Stitch and show it love and just wants to be loved. And that's all anybody wants. We all just want to be loved, and Lilo encompasses that perfectly. And yeah, even normally I might find a character like her annoying, but not at all in this case. It's like, yeah, I get it. I get what she's going through, and you want her to win. You want her to succeed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she got like double Disney trauma. I mean, usually they give them at least one alive parent, but like, nah, she didn't have either. So,
And the sister, okay. What's the sister's name?
Nani.
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 I was like, Nani, I feel like loves Lilo, but like, could she try a little harder to do a good job? Like, like I was like, why do you keep
Dang.
leaving? Like, why are you like leaving the house after you've already been warned? You already know Scary Mr. Bubbles is coming. Like, what are you doing, Nani?
She was trying so hard, Ben.
I know, I mean, I get it. Like, she's put in a tough position. Um, and I
I wrote
understand that.
I wrote down like the opposite. I was like, where are the resources for them? You know
Well,
what I
yes,
mean?
I mean, of
Like,
course.
obviously it's like who knows what happened with all the other social workers, but
Right.
they're kind of like, this is the last resort and whatever. And I'm like, okay, but like you can see that she's very much trying. She's, we don't know how old, but like probably not that old, maybe her in her early 20s,
That's
maybe.
what I was thinking, yeah.
And like, she's just doing her best. It's like, can you guys give her
But
some resources to
think
work
about
with?
if you were Mr. Bubbles though, and this is what you were seeing, and you were only seeing what he saw.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess so, but like, I think it's also very apparent that Lilo is a little like just kooky. You know what I
True,
mean? Like,
true,
not,
but
not
even
anything
then,
that's Nani's fault.
right, but even then, if you're a government official or a social services worker, that means you got to put the kid in the best position it is to succeed, and maybe not necessarily with Nani, an independent working woman who might not be able to commit the time or the resources
Right.
herself to helping Lilo. So,
I guess I felt like Nani, like you said, is probably early 20s in the movie. I felt like she was acting like a 16-year-old. Like I was like, she's acting like a teenager, older sister, you know.
hmm and that's what makes the line that Lilo says, "I like you better as a sister than a mom," most effective,
Right.
and really hit home that hey, Lilo doesn't necessarily need. I mean, yes, she needs a mom, but more importantly, she just needs someone to love her and talk with her and be supportive, and that's what a sister can be. So I do like their dynamic. It's fun. The little mini crew there on the island, um, her, David, the two of them, David, and then soon to be Stitch, just surfing all the time and having a blast, taking pictures and kind of mocking tourists that Lilo has set up in her room. Yeah, it's they got a good little thing going.
And I don't know, Disney's movie history from A to B up until this point, but I feel like this had to have been kind of not revolutionary, but different for them in terms of A, showcasing like Lilo as, a mostly main character who's a little bit odd. And not just like, I'm Belle, I like to read books. Haha, I'm so weird. um, but like a little more odd than that. And also, a broken family, as they say, that's like, working with a social worker and having like a Hawaiian family. Like I feel like um I don't know. I feel like people made a big deal out of that, like when Moana came out. But I was like, did we not remember that Lilo and Stitch was a thing? I know that they're I forget I forget what Moana is, but anyways.
I think the you're right though that the precocious like kid type Disney thing, I feel like didn't happen much before Lilo and Stitch. Since then we've had like The Boy and Up and the Coco has that and
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of the more recent movies have that kind of precocious kid role, but a lot of the 90s ones didn't.
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
Andy in Toy Story was like not really that type.
Mm-mm.
So I feel like this was kind of a new era of putting like kids in Disney movies.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, all the princesses are technically kids, but
Well, but they're like teenagers. Uh,
No, I know. I know.
they're not little kids. They're not Lilo's age.
No, I know. I know.
I will say I just quickly looked it up. The last three Disney animated movies before this from Disney Animated Studios were, and again, I could be wrong, but this is what I saw was Tarzan, The Emperor's New Groove, and Atlantis, The Lost Empire, with the next one being Treasure Planet. So as you can see there, adults, 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 teenagers slash adults, and this one being the kid. So echoing right there with your point, Ben, this is something that stands out and again, makes the Lilo and Stitch dynamic fun and
And I feel like it's
relatable for
something they've done
families.
so much since, but it was probably a different thing at the time. And
Yes.
this was also
Yeah.
early on when they were moving away from musical movies.
Yep.
Hmm.
Like they were still that was such a part of the 90s Disney movies. And I think early on there was some backlash to that almost.
hmm
Like as much
Yeah.
as we were just talking about this recently, I was talking about it with a friend, like as much as I love the Tarzan score now, I didn't like it at the time because it wasn't the characters singing.
Yeah.
And this was one of those ones too that this I mean it has great music, it has Elvis music, but it's not the characters singing it.
Hmm. Yeah, and all those movies Jeff just listed off are definitely different from like the 90s classics that, we all grew up with.
hmm I do love the music in this movie. I love that balance between the Hawaiian music and the Elvis
Yes.
music. It's
Yes.
so good.
Yes, I
Hmm.
agree.
Yeah.
When we jump into the Hawaiian music as soon as we come in from space, and the tone of the movie has just changed from this big space adventure right to the whole peaceful Hawaiian lifestyle. The music does such an effective job of encompassing that, bringing in the dancing as well and the beach scene. Man, it's amazing. It's such a vibe.
It's a fun, different setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always forget that this movie starts with the space adventure.
I didn't know that until we watched it.
I always forget. And the other thing I always forget is that I forget what his alien form actually looks like, that he has four arms and he's got like the antenna and
Hmm.
whatever else, because even like Disney never uses that form of Stitch. Like it's only his quote dog version that we ever see. And so I was like, oh man, I forgot that he looked like that.
He's just such a, I don't know, he's such an interesting character and such a funny like. I just feel like he just the way they have him do different things right off the bat, I find really funny. Like the swearing at in the alien language made me laugh, and then like when he first gets to Lilo's house and he's like being so destructive, but just in funny ways. I like
Mhm.
laughed out loud at his San Francisco when he built San Francisco. And
So
then just,
good.
like King Kong walking through it there. I was like, that's really funny. My 2-year-old, I watched this movie with my wife and my 2-year-old, and he found Stitch very funny as well.
Oh, perfect. That's
Of
amazing.
course. Yeah, it's like the perfect age for that type of, goofy, silly, destructive humor.
I was about to say, Stitch's first movie was this tarantula monster movie with King Kong-esque music or Godzilla-esque music and parading through the streets, rah, rah, or whatever. It's very, very good.
I really want to know what Stitch said to all of the aliens that offended them so much.
Nuga na la crusta!
His evil laugh is so funny.
Yeah, it's real good. I love it.
Speaking-
Yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead,
go
Ben.
ahead.
No. You
No, I
bet.
was gonna say, speaking of the other aliens, the ones that come, are kind of following him throughout the movie, um, I felt like they could have been funnier.
Mm, okay. I disagree with you, but
Okay.
respectfully.
I feel like they could have, I don't know, they didn't make as much of an impression on me as I wanted them to.
I think having the Seth MacFarlane universe in my mind, like of American Dad and the Cleveland Show, so that when Captain Gantu starts talking and starts yelling out things like "surprise," all I can picture is Principal Lewis shouting out these lines and just cackling and chortling as I'm watching along. Like that's funny.
Well, I think, Ben, you're talking more about like
Yes.
Jumba and Pleakley, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, oh, what, Jeff?
no, I think they're funny too. I agree with
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Amanda. I think they're fun.
I love Pleakley.
No, Pleakley's fun. Pleakley's a fun character. His obsession with Earth. They call Earth Area 51 in space, which I find funny as well. He's the one responsible for the mosquito population maintenance or supposed mosquito population maintenance on Earth. So, yeah, he's a trip.
I don't think they were unfunny. I just felt like they could have been developed more as characters for me.
Yeah. Well, then it would have been longer and you would have been annoyed.
I do think overall it was paced well for a shorter movie. I will
It
say
was.
that. I felt like it didn't get, my complaint about some of these later ones, like we brought up with Coco, I know, and I feel like something else we brought up too, is that I love how they start and then
Mhm.
they get too long in the like adventure action part of the movie. And I felt like that was not the case here. That it was like an appropriate amount of action and enough story to balance it.
Absolutely. Bringing it back to the mosquito comment, I love how they tied that up in the end and they actually came back to it that what Bubbles like made that up so that the aliens wouldn't destroy Earth. I just thought that was so probably something I didn't notice or appreciate like the first time that I watched it, but just like his correspondence with like the uh, head alien lady. I forget what her name is. Um, just going back and forth, being like, "Oh yeah, no, I remember you." Like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, Roswell, yeah, 70s. Okay, yeah, no, I remember you.
I'm convinced, and I was about to ask you guys this. Maybe it's because I've had this movie on my mind a lot lately. Was Cobra Bubbles part of the Men in Black? And Lilo and Stitch and Men in Black are in the same universe. Dresses the same, wears the glasses, has the relationship with the aliens. I don't know.
Probably.
He's I think he's a great character. Unlike I thought I almost wish there was more of him because I really liked his character. But I thought he was very funny every time he appeared, and just like an interesting presence amidst the the kind of laid back Hawaiian vibe. Like he was a good contrast to that.
He is. And what's funny about him is that he can speak well with Lilo. Whenever he interacts with Lilo, he gets to her level of weirdness or can make it easy to converse with. And has that balance of conversation. I'm like, I get that he's probably an effective social worker and that he's able to maintain. And I think he gives the appropriate amount of benefit of the doubt to Nani and Lilo, gives them chance after chance after chance. And at the end of the movie is willing to negotiate things and understand things. Obviously he has this prior relationship, but it's like, yeah, he's a great character. And I think this is a testament to the movie. I think he's used the right amount. I think he's used kind of in that right amount where it's like,
I agree with you. I felt like they did a really good job of making him, he was a scary, imposing dude, but like he also was good at his job and cared. They made him a three-dimensional character and not just some kind of caricature.
Yeah.
Speaking of using the right amount, I made a note that I think they utilized Stitch actually speaking like just the right amount. Because I think, I think if he was just talking the whole movie, like he would be far more annoying. But the fact that he doesn't really actually say much for most of the movie until the end is far more effective.
I feel like Stitch is one of those characters that, like the genie in Aladdin, like Timon and Pumbaa in The Lion King, where they've like outgrown their original like footprint on a movie, and then when you go back and watch the original material, you're like, oh yeah, it wasn't like over the top and too much like it is in the sequels, it is in the parks, and it is in it's like you can understand why they were a breakout character, and it's almost like Disney doesn't learn the lesson from that and then overexposes them. And I think when you go back and watch the original source material, yeah, it's a good amount. It's a good use of the character, and it's well developed, and you can tell like maybe they didn't know it was going to become the phenomenon it became as a character, and they're hedging their bets a bit, but the restraint is almost makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I really miss Stitch's Great Escape at Disney World.
I don't think I ever did that because I think it was open the first time I went, but I didn't go.
So imagine
Probably.
the scene on Captain Gentu's ship when he's transporting Stitch and then Stitch escapes. It's basically that. And mix that with flashing lights, smells, and you're basically stuck in one room. Like you're seated in one room, and yeah, you hear Stitch, you feel like scuttling around you. There's simulated fart gas pumped in, so it smells real bad. Yeah, it was interesting. It was not the best.
I have a feeling Stitch is all over the place right now with the new one coming out. And and I know as a fourth grade teacher that the students still know and love Stitch. Like that is a character they know.
That is one thing when you walk into the big World of Disney store at Disney Springs, it is Stitch everywhere. They have gone hard at the fact that, okay, these millennials have grown up who had Stitch on VHS and went to the theaters and everything and watched all the Disney Channel and straight to VHS stuff. Now they're have kids, they have money, they're willing to spend, and so we're going to put it everywhere. I remember walking into the store and just seeing every single sort of Stitch shirt, spirit jersey, doll, simulated ears, you name it, it was Stitch everything. And then people were wearing that stuff in the park too. So they are all in on Stitch at Disney World, and it is crazy. And people can't get enough.
It's shocking they didn't call this remake just Stitch.
Right?
Well, hold on, I'm looking this up because I feel like my memory is failing me. Is Stitch not? Yeah, Stitch is literally on the outside
Oh, that's right.
of
Yep.
the world of Disney, and he like spits on you.
Yeah, he spits water at people.
That's
Which is hilarious. But just the choice that they put, they had one character that they put on the outside of the largest World of Disney store in the United States, and it's Stitch.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Not Mickey.
I feel like if you were to like take like, iconic Disney characters and show like 10 photos, like, and Stitch was included, I feel like at least for today's kids, he'd be way up there and recognizable, much more so than some of these other ones we've, mentioned, like the Genie and
Yeah.
Timon and Pumbaa. I think kids today just know Stitch real well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Which
that's
is probably
fair.
what led to this remake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, plus they're just doing all of them, so
Well,
apparently.
can't wait for the live action Atlantis.
I was gonna say I just did the math.
They'll bring on James Cameron.
Since 2014, this is the Lilo and Stitch movie will be Disney's 18th live action remake in the last 10 or so years.
Yikes.
And it exponentially increased in like 2018, 2019.
And the first one went so well this year for them.
I know, right?
What? Oh, Snow White.
Yeah,
I was like,
I
wait.
actually think probably this remake will be a big hit, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, so since 2014, we have Maleficent, which starred Angelina Jolie, Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, The Jungle Book from Jon Favreau, Alice Through the Looking Glass, so I guess that kind of doesn't count, but whatever, Beauty and the Beast. Then we skipped 2018. 2019 had Dumbo, Aladdin, The Lion King, Maleficent 2, and a straight-to-Disney Plus Lady and the Tramp. 2020, we got Mulan. 2021, we got Cruella. 2022 was Pinocchio for Disney Plus from Robert Zemeckis, which was awful. 2023 had Peter Pan and Wendy and The Little Mermaid. And then 2024 had Mufasa, The Lion King. And then 2025 has Snow White and Lilo and Stitch.
And have you seen most of those, you two?
Surprisingly, no.
Yeah. I've only seen Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin.
No, I'm actively avoiding watching them at this point. Like, I mean, I will see the Lilo and Stitch one because I've yet to see the trailer, but from the people that I know that have seen the trailer, it seems like it's promising and it's actually looking decent, which is good. We've seen Beauty and the Beast. We saw Lion King. What other ones have we seen, Geoff?
Of those ones since 2014, I can tell you at least the ones that I've seen. Have you seen the Kenneth Branagh Cinderella? I have not.
No.
We saw the Jungle Book. We saw Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. We saw Aladdin. We saw the Lion King. I saw Mulan.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
We saw Cruella. I saw Pinocchio. We saw The Little Mermaid. And that's it.
I do feel like Cruella and Maleficent are kind of a subcategory of that, though. They're not like straight remakes of Disney films.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And they've taken on a persona of their own. Like Cruella and Maleficent's characters, both from those movies, are liked and celebrated, and people have gone out as them as Halloween and things like that. So,
well, I guess you can count Mufasa in that category as well because that one.
Who's playing Bubbles? Oh, Courtney B. Vance is playing Bubbles in the new one.
You know, I will say the cast, I was looking at the cast the other day, I was like, you know what? We have Billy Magnuson as Pleakley, Hannah Waddingham as the Grand Councilwoman, Zach Galifianakis as Jumba, and Kevin Michael Richardson reprising his role as Captain Gansu. You know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, and I think there was some backlash originally on Stitch's animation, right? But then they fixed it. Am I remembering that correctly?
I think you might be thinking of Sonic.
No, well, I remember Sonic.
The other blue monster.
Blue monsters are just so hard to animate.
The guy who directed this directed the movie from 2022, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which was very, very cute, and I like that a lot. And the initial sort of teasers for this movie have replicated the original marketing of the animated movie, which was Stitch inserted into various situations, just causing chaos, and which I know is not the full Stitch character, but at least they're encompassing what made kind of the original movie what it was, and kind of gave it the initial sort of impression. So I'm like, you know what? If it seems like they're going back to their roots, they've got a couple people back that worked on that original. I've got hope for it. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
So I think that Lilo has some of the best line ratings in this movie. And I'm just really, I don't know how old the actress was when she recorded this, but I mean, I'm guessing she was fairly close to Lilo's age. But just some of her lines are so funny. Like, my friends need to be punished. And she's like shaking them in the thing. Or when Nani turns down David and she's like, don't worry, she likes your butt and your fancy hair. I know, I read it in her diary. Just some of the stuff she says is so hilarious.
So good.
Yeah.
Looks like she was 8 when she was cast in it, but I don't know when the actual like voice recording
Oh, well, I
happened.
mean, probably
So,
not
yeah, in the
too
ballpark.
long after that.
Yeah.
Do they say how old she is in the movie?
I don't believe so,
No, I don't.
Okay.
but we can
I get the
assume.
sense she's like maybe like first, second grade,
Yeah,
Which would be how old? I don't
like
know.
7 or 8.
7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Six,
gonna
seven, 8,
say
something like that.
around like
I mean, because
8,
she still
but
has like dolls and stuff. And can
Mhm.
I tell you that I was like so confused by the photographs on her wall before they explained it. I was like, why are there like I'm like, I hope this is gonna be like explained or acknowledged.
These tourists in Hawaii that can't properly tan. Just that whole collection of them.
Yeah, that poor guy and his ice cream and his sunburn.
He just wants his mint chip ice cream and to get a complete burn and not just the awkward, tank top tan line.
I don't know how he managed to get an ice cream cone all the way to that like remote island at the end.
How do you two feel about Hawaiian roller coaster ride?
Oh, I love it.
Pro? Like very
Because I
pro?
didn't used to like it, maybe because I hadn't seen the movie, but I think it's grown on me over the years.
It's used very effectively in this movie. I think
Yeah.
of the.
I mean, I think it's grown on me even before seeing the movie, but
Yeah.
like I remember back when you were a kid, or when I was a kid, and you were listening to different Disney songs that never, or even a little bit later, just because I was like, I want to hear Hakuna Matata. I don't want to hear Hawaiian roller coaster ride when it came up on my Spotify, but which is not when I was a kid, but when I was older. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's grown on me.
I think that's fair. I don't know that I liked it all that much like growing up either. And I think maybe part of that is because, there's like some Hawaiian in there. And so you can't like easily sing along with the
Right,
whole
right.
song.
Mhm.
So that's probably part of the reason why, like,
Are they remaking that song for the like did they re-record it, I wonder?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I have to assume.
I would think so.
But yeah, I really like that song and the song that they play when they first transitioned to Hawaii. No, I don't
Yeah.
think that one had any words, but I
Well-
really enjoy it.
No English words.
Oh, did it? Okay. I couldn't remember if it was just instrumental or not.
I did want to call out some fun details that I saw and how they got so many things kind of right and just dove into so many ideas and things that I know for me I appreciated and maybe wouldn't have appreciated as much as a kid, but definitely appreciate now. Example, calling Earth people from Earth, simple creatures, how they can't show themselves because it's like, oh, they'll just go crazy and they'll freak out. I'm like, yep, they nailed it. That's exactly what would happen today. One of my personal favorite things that stuck out to me was when Stitch is going crazy in their house for the first time, and Lilo puts a lei on Stitch, and Stitch just falls over and freezes. That is exactly what happens with like our cat. And the first time we've put like a harness on her and tried to like do anything with her, is she just will fall over, just give up, be like, what is this thing? Plop. So they nailed the pet dynamic. It's so great. Everything. Great selection of books at Lilo's house as well. Really well versed at Lilo and Nani's room there, where it's like, oh yeah, tips about, I think it was like, there was one about like the ocean, science, and then fire breathing and whatever, and then the ugly duckling. I'm like, that's a great collection of literature right there. So fun details in this movie that I love the idea of this podcast and going back and revisiting a lot of these movies, because it makes you appreciate it so much more, and you catch all these little details. And even from like the beginning of the movie, when the Grand Councilwoman, all she wants is Stitch just to prove that that Stitch can understand and that there's some sense of good in him. Fast forward to the end of the movie, and initially maybe when I saw it, it's just like, oh, she's got a soft heart. But in reality, it's because Stitch actually fulfilled the objective. He understands what she's saying. He has good in him, and she's like, okay. I mean, I guess he's got a point. He's proven that he's followed this rule. I love picking up on all the little kind of details within these movies, and it makes them come to life so much more.
Yeah. I had some fun things and thoughts that I wanted to point out. Most of them are silly. Do you guys think that spaceships deal with space turbulence?
Ooh.
Yes.
I mean, I know turbulence is air and there is no air in space. But do you think they have their own version of turbulence?
I think they do.
I think so too. I mean, when Stitch jumped into hyperspace and you saw the ship get rocked, Captain Gantu's ship get rocked, I'm like, yeah, there seems to be something going on there. So I bet there is.
That's fair. I also want to note that I wrote this note and watched this movie while I was on an airplane, and I was experiencing turbulence at the time.
Oh, no.
When I wrote that note, it's all like shaky and I can barely read it. But I was like, do you think that spaceships have to deal with this? Otherwise, I don't think I probably would have thought of that. Let's see. Oh, I thought it was like crazy how much stuff happened in one day between when they went to adopt Stitch and then all the way to like his first night, because they showed that whole sequence of Lilo trying to teach Stitch to be like Elvis and going through all these different scenarios and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is all just one day.
Right?
Like, that's a lot.
I was about to say, the movie only takes place over the course of like 3 or 4 days, which is crazy.
Your first couple days with a dog, though, are pretty intense.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I remember I got my dog on a Monday night, and I had to work Tuesday morning, and I had to take him out, and it was pouring rain, like just downpouring, and I was trying to get him to go to the bathroom, and I was just getting to know him. I didn't really know his, ways of being, and it was a rough morning.
Yeah.
His little quirks.
Yes.
I also so I've never been surfing. It's gotta be so hard to surf with multiple people on your board. Obviously this is an animation, but I'm curious if they'll do it in real life in the remake. But I can't imagine having yourself as an adult, a child, and a dog on a surfboard.
I don't think that's pretty common.
I know. It's got to be so hard, though. I want to know if it's possible. Like, how many people can you actually put on a surfboard and like actually surf waves.
I'm sure you could probably get a few, but like you have to maintain the balance. You have to make sure everybody is staying relatively still. In the one scene, like the big kind of visual of it where Nani is riding under the wave and Stitch and Lilo are both on the board, Stitch is grabbing Nani's leg and then eventually like lets go and is kind of just standing there and is moving around. Like that's not possible. You can't do that.
Yeah. And at one point, like Lilo is sitting and then she like gets up to stand. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you could probably do that like right in the middle of while you're doing the surf.
Right?
I don't know what the actual, term is for doing that. But
Seriously, they're like the best surfers in the world at that point. Jeez.
yeah. I also think I noted maybe one of the most like dated things in this movie is when Stitch says blue punch buggy, no punch back.
Yes.
I was like, do kids still understand that reference?
I mean, there's still bugs or beetles around driving. I don't know.
I guess.
I wonder if they know it from this.
Maybe. They're probably like, I don't know what it means, but I'll say it.
The Jumba Stitch fight in the house was very entertaining. Them playing hot potato with the gun and the blue punch buggy. I was like, this is great. This is great.
Yeah. The painted backgrounds in this movie are absolutely gorgeous. I don't know that I noticed them a ton, but specifically at moments where they were like on the beach and had, just kind of like oceans and trees and sky behind them, it was just absolutely gorgeous. Also noted the A113.
Oh, you caught that. It was a license plate. I couldn't catch it in the showing. Nice.
Oh, well, you were not paying attention. It was like very in your face.
Okay,
I feel like
fine.
well, no, like as opposed to now, I feel like they try to hide it a little bit more, and it's more of like can you spot where we put it? But it was on the semi truck towards the end of the movie, and they legit showed it like full in frame. Which I thought that was only in Pixar movies.
Right.
Am I wrong in thinking that? Yeah.
No,
okay.
I don't think you're wrong. And sorry to disappoint all of my fellow Disney adults for missing that.
Must be some Pixar people worked on this movie. I don't know. So they were like, we're gonna put it in. Also, I really just want a spin-off with Jumba and Pleakley living as like a domesticated couple in Hawaii. I think that would be better than probably all the other sequels and straight to TV things that they gave us.
I was gonna say that's the kind of stuff that I don't mind when you explore that sort of thing on Disney Plus. Something like that, or I know they came out with something for Inside Out where they had like the Dream Production Studios, just like a really quick short thing. I'm like, that's what Disney Plus should be for. If you're not creating like wholly original things, create a little fun stuff like this. Like that's stuff that can be explored and made fun and keep people on your app. That's a good time. And yeah, I would love to see that. Him Pleakley trying on new outfits, getting experimental with gender norms and convincing Jumba to try on different things. And yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah. And then my last note is that I was just so happy to hear some A-teens in the credits. I was like, what? I haven't heard the A-teens in years.
Oh, the A-teens.
I know. I was like, dang, this must have been in their prime. They got on a Disney movie. Okay. All right, Geoff, why don't you hit us with your movie recommendations that our folks can pair with Lilo and Stitch?
Absolutely. So they're all pretty similar themed, all around sort of alien/foreign object invasion on a planet and how all sides can coexist properly. So the first one is E.T., Steven Spielberg's one of his first masterpieces. Kind of a staple for so many people in Gen X and millennial life, and kind of fits in properly because of the alien bonding with kid and the outside world not properly understanding. Now, granted, E.T. was not accepted as a dog the same way that Stitch is accepted as a dog, but there's a happy ending, and yeah, the kids are kind of made better because of ET's existence. So I feel like if you want a live action route to take with this, go with that. My last two are animated. The first one being The Iron Giant. If we kind of look for an animated movie from around this time with a very similar sort of theme, maybe less happy, but and more destructive and sad, and a true, hey, this is a truly foreign object. We need to weaponize this. Yeah, it's dark and has a kind of sad but happy ending, and yeah, but it's also really, really good. I haven't revisited it in quite a long time because I feel like I would break down if I saw it, and it would be embarrassing to look at. So I will go with Iron Giant as number two. And then number three is a very recent one. So Chris Sanders, one of the directors of this movie, has done 4 animated movies. He also did a live action version of Call of the Wild, which I'm not going to include on this. But his animated works are Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, a certified classic, one they're doing a live action remake of this year, and one that has spawned sequels and is very revered and loved. The Croods, which, yes, isn't the most critically well received, but is incredibly popular. And there was a sequel, and I feel like it does really strongly on streaming, has a great cast. And his most recent movie, The Wild Robot, which came out last year. Ton of great voice actors in that one. Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Catherine O'Hara, one of our favorite people on TV, Matthew Barry. An incredible movie, so gorgeously animated, an incredible score, and also plays into foreign object, alien, becoming a part of a world and then having to adapt and live with these creatures. So it's a great movie, was nominated for the Oscar last year, and yeah, definitely would recommend that one. So those are my 3 recommendations to pair with Lilo and Stitch.
Great, thanks. Ben, do you have any TV recommendations?
Yes, well, of course, there's the Lilo and Stitch TV show. But I two things. One is if you're looking for a show about an alien joining a family, there's Alf, an 80s classic. Alf, of course, standing for Alien Life Form. It's definitely a 80s show through and through, but it has some of the similar themes as Lilo and Stitch. Not set in Hawaii. So if setting in Hawaii is your thing, and you don't care about the Lilo and Stitch element of it, why not try the White Lotus season 1?
Thought you were going to recommend Hawaii Five-0.
Why not try Magnum PI? So, just a good Hawaii vibes show, similar to the Lilo and Stitch Hawaii vibes movie, but that's about where the comparisons end.
There you go. You could do the Brady Bunch episodes where they were in Hawaii.
Yes.
Classic. Cool. Thank you. All right. So let's move into our top 4. Today we're doing our top 4 favorite Elvis songs. And I'm going to let Geoff go first because I learned something new about him today that I didn't know.
So I do want to start with a quote from this movie that Elvis Presley was a model citizen. Just ask Lilo. Don't take a number of things into account when you hear that. So I weirdly don't have a super great appreciation for Elvis and think it's just whatever. I've never really connected with his music or his songs. I mean, it's one of those where I don't actively seek it out, and whenever I've heard it, I've just been like, okay, these are fine. So I don't have a strong affinity for Elvis, so I don't have any honorable mentions. So, and this list was very spur of the moment and not really super thought out, and kind of did a quick run through on Spotify and was like, okay, I like that, maybe a little more than this. So here we go.
Isn't that how our lists always are, though?
That's fair. I feel like for our media sort of driven lists, or say character or movie driven lists, I put a little more thought into it, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Overachiever.
Sorry. All right, I'll be quick. Number 4, Blued Suede Shoes. Number 3, A Little Less Conversation. Number 2, Jailhouse Rock. And number 1, Hound Dog. That's it. I can't say anything more
It's the
other
most
than
basic Elvis list I've ever heard.
listen. No deep cuts. Just going through the top 10 on Spotify, being like, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this. So sorry to all my Elvis heads out there. I'll admit I was not necessarily moved by Baz Luhrmann's recent Elvis biopic. So sorry, y'all.
Can you sing any of them for us, Geoff?
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. That's all I got.
Okay.
All right, we good? All right, cool. I'm out.
All right, Ben. What is your list?
Okay, so I'm not like an Elvis fanatic, but I do like Elvis, and I have actually grown to like him more since directing the musical All Shook Up a few years ago, which features all Elvis songs, and and I that has made me appreciate some songs and actually learn some songs I didn't know from Elvis as well. But so I do have some honorable mentions because I do like a lot of Elvis music. My honorable mentions are Suspicious Minds, which is a great one. I almost made my list. Actually was on my list, but then I switched it out for my number 4. A little bit more of a deep cut one is called She's Not You, uh, which I really is kind of a slow ballady type, but it's a really good one. And then Oh, have a blue.
Oh, I hate that song so
I know
much.
people either love it or hate it. I'm in the love it camp. I have that. I've loved that for forever. That also was hard to leave off my actual top 4. So my number 4 is All Shook Up, which is classic. And I think that's like to me that's like a quintessential Elvis. That and Jailhouse Rock feel like to me, and Hound Dog feel like when you think of Elvis the most, that's what you think of. But that's my favorite of those ones. Number 3 was featured in Lilo and Stitch. It's Burning Love, featured at the end there. Not by Elvis. It was not an Elvis cover of it. But it also is the finale of All Shook Up, the musical. And I think it's a super fun time, that song. My number 2 is If I Can Dream, which if I don't know, Geoff, if you ever did you watch The Four Falls of Buffalo 30 for 30?
I sobbed deeply through it. It's my favorite documentary.
Well, they used that song in the
that's
very
right.
end of the 30 for 30. They
right.
use it very effectively, and it's very powerful in that scene. That's how they end the whole thing. But it also famously, like when he sang it with a lot of passion. And if you listen to his recording, it has so much passion in his original recording of it from his comeback special. And I actually, when I was directing All Shook Up, it's All Shook Up, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a pretty silly Mamma Mia type show with just Elvis songs, inserted in. But they have a few more kind of serious moments. And one of them is when they sing If I Can Dream, and it's a choral number. And I actually had the kids listen to Elvis's version and like close your eyes and listen to it. And you really hear like the passion in his voice in that song. I think that's where you really appreciate him for me as a musician, not just as like a caricature. And then number 1 easily for me is Can't Help Falling in Love, which is special to me for 2 reasons. One, it was the first song my wife and I ever danced to at a wedding, not our wedding, but a wedding we went to. It was the first song we ever danced to together. And then also it is the Act 1 finale, and one of my favorite moments I've ever blocked on stage was the Act 1 finale of All Shook Up with that song. And so I think that song is super powerful, and I prefer Elvis's version to the 18's version.
What? Are you kidding me?
That is my list.
All right. I think my list is going to fall somewhere between both of you in terms of my affinity for Elvis and how much thought I put into this. So yeah, like Ben, I'm not an Elvis fanatic, I guess, which I was talking, this is like a total side note. I was talking to Geoff earlier. It's like, it seems like there's like the people who love Elvis, like really love Elvis.
Yeah.
Like I know 2 people very specifically who all in on Elvis, like watches movies all the time. decorate their house with like Elvis stuff. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
That's a bridge too far for me, but I do like him.
it's very interesting. So I'm definitely not at that level, but you know, my parents grew up listening to the oldies radio station, and that's where Elvis was. So I did grow up listening to a lot of his music. I don't know some of the deeper cuts that you mentioned, Ben. So obviously, I'm not as much of a fan as you are. I did have one honorable mention, which was Jailhouse Rock. I feel like that and Hound Dog, like you said, Ben, are it's like same vibes, right? Like
Yeah.
very similar. And I'm a little scarred from a musical I did in high school that was a review, not of Elvis songs, but it did have both Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock. And I was like, well, I'm scarred by Hound Dog from that musical. So I was like, I'm going to pick Jailhouse Rock. But that one I'm a little scarred from too. That was dancers only. Okay. Like,
Oh yeah.
you got to be a dancer to be in Jailhouse Rock. My number 4 is A Little Less Conversation. And I'm going to say I don't have any reasoning for any of these songs. Just I like them. This is what I like. I don't really have anything. Number 3, You're the Devil in Disguise. Number 2, Suspicious Minds. And number 1, Can't Help Falling in Love with You, which Geoff and I did play at our wedding. Not the Elvis version.
Yeah, not the Elvis version.
I think it was when. Oh, that's what I walked down the aisle to.
The 18s.
The crazy.
No, not the 18s either.
It's a version from
whatever,
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, whatever version they used in Crazy Rich Asians. Another movie
that's been covered a ton. I mean, that gets covered all the time.
Yeah, it's a very. I mean, I don't have anything against Elvis's version. I just really, really liked the version that they did in that movie.
Yeah, it's very effective.
Unlike most of the other ones, like the interesting thing about that is I do like a lot of the covers of Can't Help Falling in Love. I love the version in All Shook Up, the musical. I love some of the other covers of it. Some of the other ones I feel like I really like Elvis's version, or I don't care as much for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a quick top 4 for us. Yeah, so if you would like to, well, you can't watch along with us. You can, but you can't. I'll tell you why. So the next episode that we have coming out is going to be a mini episode, and that is going to be us drafting chain restaurants, which gets a little crazy. So I think you're definitely going to want to tune into that. And then after that, we'll be doing Dear Evan Hansen. So, well, you know.
Wait, you have seen that?
Yeah, another installment.
And also, fun fact, starring Ving Rhames. No, I'm kidding.
Now that I would love to see. Yeah, so
waving through a window.
You will be found.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so last summer we did Cats, and it was a silly, crazy time. And we kind of did a little bit of a Tony's preview along with that. And so this year we're gonna do Dear Evan Hansen, which, not quite as wild as Cats, but still some very interesting choices in that movie. So, and then Ben will also be giving us a little Tony's preview as well at the end of that episode. So if you would like to watch Dear Evan Hansen and join in the conversation with us, definitely do that. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review, and be sure to follow us on all our social channels. We are newly on YouTube, so check us out. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.